Let's take a first look at the Profoto D3. Is this light the successor to the D2 or the partner to the Pro 11? At 1250 watt seconds, two of these are similar to having one Profoto Pro 11 at 1/3 the cost if purchased with two heads. And it basically makes improvements over the D2 in every way possible, with the only disadvantage being a little added size going from 7.5 to 9 pounds. There's also a 750 watt second version as well. So let's walk around the meaningful specs for this light, and using my Sekonic LA58D, let's see how this light stacks up. We tested the flash duration, color consistency, and one thing I never find uniquely interesting on most lights, the LED modeling light. First is the display on this light. It's a 10 out of 10. It's simple with everything you need to know with little clutter. On the display, you will also see three modes: Eco, Boost, and Freeze. I love the transparency here because they allow me to take the governors off the performance of the light and simply deal with the caveats. As a commercial photographer, I need to be able to beat the brakes off a light. First, you have Eco mode. It optimizes color temperature from power 10 to 0.1. Shooting the entire 11 stop range, I saw no visible change going from power 10 to 1 and only a slight change when I got to 0.1, a place where most lights don't even go. When metering at power 10, the color temperature was 6200 Kelvin, and at power 0, it was 6256 Kelvin. And at power 0.1, I got 6578 Kelvin. These color temperature readings were not taken scientifically, and my blue shirt, the red background, and light bouncing around the room could have affected this reading and introduced some inconsistencies. But I feel as if though the specs in the brochure are pretty much right on, especially going through an 11 stop power range. And the photographic tests I did were shot in virtual darkness. And this is a shot from my Ray-Ban Metas. Here you can see images shot from the top to the bottom of the power range with no correction applied. Next, we have Boost mode, designed to push the light to its limits if a bit more power is needed. Upon a quick review of this mode, I didn't see a difference and didn't have the time to set up a more scientific test with metered or photographic results. Next, we have Freeze mode. It gives you insanely fast flash durations. Here, you sacrifice color stability for freezing action and getting T1 flash durations above 1/3000th of a second at power 8. Here are the metered measurements at each power setting. I found they pretty much match or even exceed the published numbers. Now for a visual test, I have a fan spinning at max speed with our model twirling a necklace. I leave each on screen for 2 seconds. You'll want to look at the fan blades, which have a really consistent RPM and are spinning as fast as they can, and the twirling necklace, which gives something moving at real world speeds. One thing to note is that I should have blacked out the room at the lowest power settings. In the necklace, you see some artifacts at power 0.1 until we get to about 2. The power of the flash is so low here that my video lights, although very low, are still interfering. In freeze mode, you will lose color temperature stability from the top to bottom of the power range, going from 6200 Kelvin to 9000 Kelvin, which looks like this. Remember, these results are with a pre-production unit and not performed in complete darkness. But I think they're pretty illustrative of what you get. Now, one of my favorite parts of this light is the modeling light. This is the real thing. The metered results show a 1.7 stop difference when compared to a D2 with a 300 watt halogen bulb. Here's what the difference looks like visually. First, the D2, then the D3. The modeling light's color temperature better matches what you would get from strobes, so shutter drags will be cleaner if that's a creative choice of yours. Here are some images I shot using the modeling light to drag the shutter, and the extra 1.7 stops of brightness was huge. And if you go from shooting at f/16 and power down to, let's say, f/1.4, you don't have to deal with the modeling light warming up the images like tungsten does when mixed with a daylight strobe at low power. The second huge advantage is if you are on location and shooting using a portable battery, you can leave the modeling light on and it will last roughly 5 times longer than the D2 and 9 times longer than a Profoto Pro-11. If you wanted to use the modeling light for video, this shot here, I have the light approximately 4 feet away and I'm at f/5.6 at base ISO 800 at 24 frames per second. And the fan noise is a fraction of the Profoto D2 or Pro Head. When you factor in the fan noise versus output versus being able to run off a battery, this modeling light outperforms both the Pro D2 and Pro-11 for my needs. Now let's talk about power. At 1250 watt seconds, this is the most powerful monolight I know of. But what is most useful to me is the 11 stop power range. I find myself needing less power more often than not. Now, many would say they don't need 1250 watt seconds, but with the added capacitors to get it to 1250 watt seconds, that at 600 watt seconds, it's gonna far outpace a light in flash duration and recycling time than one that maxes out at 600 watt seconds. The Profoto D3 also has HSS, but I didn't get a chance to test it in this initial preview. The one thing this light was engineered for was to answer the call of catalog houses like Amazon, shooting non-stop 5 days a week at huge volume, where a D2 is going to need a little bit more maintenance and the Pro-11 may be overkill and a bit cost prohibitive. When you can outfit an entire studio at 1/3 the cost with Profoto D3s. I can't speak to the longevity of this light, but from taking a first look, it feels really robust. Unlike the D2, you can remove the handle as well as the stand adapter. The stand adapter feels like the strongest I've ever seen on a light. I can hear some clicking like there's teeth inside to lock it in place. And you don't need a lot of force to lock it. There will be zero drift with large light shapers on this light. It simply locks in place. Putting a lot of weight on it, it simply doesn't budge. You will have zero issues with large modifiers. You're going to see the Profoto D3 as either too expensive or a cost savings that you've been waiting for. And this light checks off a few more boxes that have not been checked before. I would rather have the option to rent or purchase this light than not. Because you gotta remember, at the end of the day, there's levels to this shit. My name is Ab Sesay, and this is my first YouTube video on my own YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and like because it's about to go down. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.